You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How we doing? How we doing? Happy 4th of July to you. And hope everybody's packing up, got the ribs, got the charcoal, everything ready to go. Happy Independence Day, the 4th of July, and that's going to be a beautiful day. For those of us who are out here in the beautiful sunshine state of California, boy, we're going through the fires and going about 105, 110 degrees. It's heating up everywhere you look. Indiana Fever played the Las Vegas Aces, and as we know, I took a moment to just kind of digest it a little bit. They lost the ball game 88-69, did about three-quarters of a performance. And then in the end, it just kind of faded away, and the Aces, Aja Wilson, who is probably leading candidate for MVP between her and I always like Brianna Stewart on the New York Liberty. However, the she kind of shined, and then you look at it from another standpoint. Plum. I mean, that one there just puzzled me. Plum just danced on the Fever all last night. I thought it was Saturday Night Fever the way Plum just kept on pounding the ball, dribble drive, up, down, bucket after bucket after bucket. And it was just kind of one of those nights again where Caitlin Clark had a good ball game actually. Just opening up on what her capabilities are. Didn't shoot it as well. 4 from 12 from the field. Went 1 of 7. 4 for 4 from the free throw line. 6 rebounds. 11 assists. 6 turnovers. So if you look at it, assist to turnover ratio. I mean, at the end of the day, what are we looking for? A 2-to-1 ratio. Okay, 12 assists, 6 turnovers. That's your 2-to-1. And she's displaying so much more. But it made me look a little bit deeper. And I'll go through it, and I'll just walk you through it. From the analytics of it, the Fever shot 28 of 77, 36%. 6 of 26 from the three-point line, got it down to 23%. 7 of 13, 53% from the free throw line. So across the board, the Fever did not have a good shooting night against the Aces. That was just not going to happen. The Aces, 32 of 71, came out at 45%. 9 of 25 from the three-point line, so they clicked in at 36, and 15 of 17 at the free throw line, deadly at the line, 88%. And again, led by Aja Wilson, there's no doubt about it. I mean, she just kind of took over in the middle of the paint, and then also Plum took care of the perimeter and just couldn't be stopped. And boy, that's the hurting penalty for him there, because the Indiana Fever drafted the Defensive Player of the Year and just released her, was a 15 pick in the draft. And I know they said it was a tough decision. That had to be the player that you needed to go to be able to be that defender where somebody's going to have to do it. Now, you got a three-headed monster. You got Caitlin Clark running 40 minutes a night. What does that mean? That she's got to be winded somewhere out there, so she's not going to take the toughest defensive assignment. But here's the deal with that is I also saw a couple other things that highly concerned me, and I'd be the first to tell you. Kelsey Mitchell's a great ball player. Kelsey Mitchell needs her own team. That's what Kelsey Mitchell needs, her own team, because Lynn, when you look at it, you go back and you look back and you say, okay, Christie Sides says I need Caitlin Clark to take more shots. Now, here's what I think is going on in the Indiana Fever and the Indiana Fever building. I think there's maybe some silos, or what Christie Sides likes to do is have individual conversations, and she's telling each player, it looks like she's telling each player a different thing. Then we get to the media and we say, okay, I want Caitlin Clark to take 15 shots a game. Well, that's not true. Okay, so, and you got to know that, and this is where I'm going to tell you, Kelsey Mitchell, I mean, outstanding player, great score. But Kelsey Mitchell took 20 shots last game. 20 shots, okay? So if Christie Sides go to the podium and says, Caitlin, we want Caitlin to take 20, she's going to have a meeting potentially and tell Kelsey Mitchell, keep doing what you're doing. Smith, keep doing what you're doing. Be aggressive. Boston, be aggressive. Everybody aggressive. So at the end of the day, you end up, Caitlin Clark's going to take 12 shots, okay? Play 38 minutes and just pretty much setting everybody else up. And the problem I have with Caitlin Clark, with all the passing and setting everybody else up, I don't see anybody else coming back to her, and I don't see the exchanges. I mean, Mitchell should be able to find Caitlin Clark 5 times a game. Caitlin's going to find you 5. I mean, it should be interchangeable, exchange, relocating, playing two-man game between each other. Doesn't matter if you're on the weak side or the strong side of the court. Now, when you look at it, and here's the thing, too. We got to get stops. We got to get stops. And here's where I'm going with this with Christie Sides, because I'm not going to beat into a dead horse. I mean, you can't get blood out of a turnip, and no use in you trying to say, okay, what are we doing with the coaches? Because I really personally believe it's just got out to the point. It's got a little out of the hand, and on the defensive side, the Fever are really not trying to get defensive stops. Okay, that really isn't happening, because if you're trying to get defensive stops, here's what should have happened. Okay, when you lined up, Kelsey Mitchell should have took Plum, and they should have matched bucket for bucket, back and forth all night. That's her defensive assignment. Okay, and that's the route we're going. Now, here's where the Fever got big-time problems, because when you get a stretch 4 and a stretch 5, which you're going to play the New York Liberty, okay, you've got 3 post players that cannot play defense outside the perimeter, okay? And here's the problem with that is when you get Boston, okay, and you looking at that, you look at what Boston, and you got Timmy, okay, and you got Smith. They only can play within that perimeter, okay, that they've used to been playing in. And now when you get the stretch 4 and the 5, and you get them pulling out like A'ja Wilson, that's going to cause a problem. Obumake did the same thing with the Seattle Storm. Once they start going outside of that perimeter, you've got to go out there and be able to play man-to-man principles. Okay, you can still be in the zone, but play man-to-man principles. That's not happening, and that's going to be an issue for the Fever because the 3, 4, and 5, and this is when you find out. This is what it's called, folks. It's called a two-way player. Okay, you got players who can go out there and have great offensive games. Okay, they can look like superstars. They can put up 30 points. But when they have an opponent that can put up the same 30, okay, against them, now they have to take effort and put it on defense. And if that effort is not the same as you're giving on offense, your defense is going to suffer tremendously, and your offense is going to lower below the standard. So that's what happened when you got in there with A'ja Wilson. There was nobody that could match that up. Boston can only come out below the free throw line. Okay, you got Smith below the free throw line, and you got to get them outside man-to-man on the perimeter, because that's where they got to guard that. And that's going to be an issue for the Fever as they move forward, because you don't have anyone currently that could do that. Now, when you look at the offense and what they're running and everything and how it goes, and that's where I am. Mitchell's a great player, but every time Mitchell gets the ball, Mitchell shoots the ball. So at the end of the night, when you look at it, you run through it, and you say, okay, Mitchell's got 23 points. She's got 1 assist, no steals, no blocks, okay, 2 turnovers, okay? So you got to ask yourself that, okay, and if you look at the season totals, okay, with Mitchell now, that's supposed to be the 2 guard. Okay, you got Caitlin Clark's running the 1. Okay, and the 2's supposed to match up on the toughest assignment. And they're also supposed to facilitate, because they're the combo guard, and that's supposed to be interchangeable. And that's where you're going to get the 2 guard front. Now, here's the problem with that. Indiana Fever got 2 5'8" guards. You got a 6-foot point guard, and you got 2 5'8" guards. That's going to cause you defensive matchups. Now you got to look at it, okay, who's going to guard who? You need to get to the 3 position, and you're not extremely strong as a defender at the 3 position. So your 1, 2, and 3 are in a disadvantage. They're not going to be able to match up, and that's where the problems are coming from. And that's where Christie Sides is kind of defeating the purpose, because you're pushing offense, but that means you're not controlling the tempo, and you're not executing, and it's just going to run its course. Now, here's a salute to the young ladies. You made the All-Star game, to Boston, to Mitchell, and, of course, Caitlin Clark made the All-Star game. I look forward to that. If there's anything going to be entertaining, it's going to be the All-Stars against the Olympians. I think the Olympians are going to go in there and be shocked. But we'll wait and see because they're probably going to be ready to play ball at that time too. So when you look at it, you look at who collectively was able to get in there. I mean, Aja Wilson, Finney 1 for 7. You get back to Smith, 2 for 7. And, Smith, one thing I'm going to tell you about Smith, it's hot and cold. But, man, if you could teeter that down, because Smith, again, jumped in there and got 14 rebounds. 14 rebounds, okay? And that's throughout all of her frustrations that she's playing through. If you could get her to calm down off the frustrations in Boston, folks, Boston is such a talented player. But Boston, you're so wide open at the free throw line, you can't keep running the play if nobody's guarding you. You got about a 12-footer, take the shot. That's what I mean by you got to be able to play defense outside of the perimeter. And you also got to be able to notice where you are in the offensive sets and be able to attack when you have that open entry. Now, here's a deal that's going to really be creative as to the Fever get to looking at the playoffs. They're only going to be able to produce so much offense. And at some point, you're going to have to start picking the ones that can take you down the stretch on the defensive end. And that's going to be tough because on the defensive end, you're not getting much. You got Timmy giving you 7 rebounds. You got Wallace coming in there giving you 1, 2 assists. You got to look at it. And then you go Caitlin Clark's giving out 11 assists. And you got 1 from Mitchell, 2 from Boston. And you got 1 again coming from Smith and 0 from Samuel. That's a problem because the offense is designed to execute. You got a first option, second option, third option, fourth option. We don't ever get to the fourth option or the third. It's really you get 1 and it goes up. So the Fever are going to have to figure this out. I think Christie Sides is going to have to figure out what direction Christie Sides is going to go. And you can't beat a dead horse, folks, I'll tell you, because I can sit here and go round and round and round, but that's not the issue. I think you got players that are great players that have value in the WNBA. But do they have value if Caitlin Clark decides I'm going to go dish 15 assists? Is that going to be the value that I'm going to get? I don't quite see it that way. I see these guys are doing what they want to do when they're on the floor. Christie Sides is giving a valid effort trying to coach it, and she's coaching every possession. And at some point, if you got to look at it, if you want to look at the Aces coaches, and you look at Hammond, she doesn't have to coach possession. She doesn't have to coach every possession. She could sit back, relax, leave it to the guard. At some point, Christie Sides got to sit back, relax, and let Caitlin Clark run the game. And let's see what the outcome is of the game without you overcoaching, because I think she's got it figured out. I just think you got to get the other players to realize, and you got to get Mitchell to tag back with Caitlin Clark, because Mitchell should be delivering at least 3-4 assists a game. And, you got Smith and Boston. They're going to have to be two-way players if you're going to get in the playoffs. Timmy's a two-way player, but Smith and Boston, when they start going against the tougher posts, the top 5 teams of the league, when you get up there and you're looking at the Liberty, looking at the Connecticut Sun, the Minnesota Lynx, you're going to have to play two-way. Because the attack that's coming on you from the offensive end is going to be more than you can handle, and it's going to exhaust you so much you won't have anything to give on the offensive end. And that's going to have to come from the tempo. And if Christie Sides is saying, hey, look, we're putting up 77 shots, okay? So if you're putting up 77, somehow along the line, if you can't outrun that team, okay, if you can't outrun the Storm, you're going to have to bring the shot total down, get the execution, slow the tempo of the game down, and figure out who's going to do what. But you can't come out and say, well, Caitlin Clark needs to take 15 shots. Everybody else increases their shot total, and hers kind of decreases. And I'm talking about you got Mitchell taking 20 shots. What's next, 25? Let's be honest. That from a guard, a combo guard who's supposed to have defense, be able to rebound, be able to give all that. None of that's happening. We're just shooting the ball every time we get it. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. We're excited to see them go in and play the New York Liberty and see where that game's go. I just think that you can't get blood out of a turnip. There's no use in saying, okay, Christie Sides this or that, because that is beyond control. And you got to get the right players to give the fair evaluation of Christie Sides. I don't know if they'll have enough patience, but at the same time, this collectively is not the collective group when I've got a 5-star guard like Caitlin Clark, who really showed us what she could do. She finally opened it up and said, hey, I could play. I could play, guys. If I don't know about you, I got the handles, I got the skill, I got the speed, I got the passing. I can get this done. Yeah, her feet and her legs are a little weak. That'll strengthen up. But she is showing she's battle tested. She's not gonna break. She's not gonna break down. She's not gonna cry. She's gonna play this thing out. But everybody else has to do her job. If she's getting 11, 12, 15 assists, they pick up another 5, and come out at 25 assists a game. You're gonna win some ball game. However, now you got to make sure that your defensive rotations are so tight, and those who get it, I get it. And I can tell the difference between the first offense running the offense and the second offense, the ball gets stuck. I mean, it's stuck, okay? They're holding it, so they don't know what to do. So those are some cleanup things. This is what it is. The personnel is what it is. You can't wave a magic wand and get new personnel tomorrow. You're going to have to figure out. But I always tell you this. Some of the guys that are playing now are auditioning for other teams, okay? And I definitely can tell you Kelsey Mitchell's just a great, great player, but she needs her own team, and that's something that you're just going to have to deal with. This is the Money Mike City Kenny Radio podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. Happy 4th of July. All things are possible to those who believe. You stay cool and have a nice cold glass of water. We'll see you soon.